My name is Val, and I'm 32, a product strategist at Luminate Tech, a mid-sized tech company that thinks it's more important than it is. Before strategy, I spent 8 years as a senior designer, specializing in systems architecture, user experience, and long H. I'm brunette, sharp-featured, and I dress like a strategic decision. Minimalist blacks and grays, subtle silhouettes, tailored fits. I don't wear anything that speaks L. I live alone in a stylish but compact apartment overlooking the city. Black fixtures, clean lines, soft neutral lighting. One plant I always forget to water. And the ritual centerpiece, a large glass whiteboard where I outline my weekly strategy memos to myself. They're not diaries, they're operating documents, objectives, threat analysis contingencies, key levers to pull my friends. Say I run my life like a consulting project. They're not wrong. People at work know me as competent, collected, and intimidating because I don't react emotionally. I don't panic when deadlines shift. I don't crumble when executives get political. I observe, evaluate, reposition. I am surgical. But competence in corporate America has a half-life. Management loves it until they realize it exposes their own incompetence. Which is exactly what happened with Evan Mercer, the newly imported VP of Product, a man whose resume was longer than his actual achievements. He mistook my quiet precision for arrogance. He mistook my independence for resistance. He mistook my expertise for a threat. Here is where his mistake became fatal. He also mistook my professionalism for passivity. He didn't realize that I don't seek revenge out of rage. I seek it out of strategy. And when he cut my hours to teach me a lesson, he activated a part of me that rarely needs to surface. The part that comes out when someone underestimates me so profoundly that they forget I am not only a strategist, I am a creator, I am a planner, and when necessary, I am a weapon. It began on a nondescript Tuesday. My calendar showed a routine workload, one roadmap review, 2 cross-functional syncs, and a late afternoon call with design. Nothing remarkable. At 10:12 a.m., a Slack message popped up from Evan. Evan. Hey Valerie, can you stop by my office for a quick alignment chat? Alignment, a word that means everything and nothing in corporate language. My stomach didn't drop, my pulse didn't shift. I simply stood, smoothed the hem of my blazer, and walked. His office door was half open. Come in, he said, not looking up from his MacBook. He had that performative busy air about him, fingers hovering above keys, pretending to pause mid-thought, as if granting me a rare moment of his genius. I sat. He finally looked up, smiling like a man about to deliver feedback he thought was transformational. Valerie, he began, I want to talk about your role. My role is clear, I said. I lead product strategy for platform and emerging. Yes, and that's part of why we need to recalibrate. I felt something cold coil in my gut. Recalibrate in what way? He leaned back, arms crossed, trying to project authority. Leadership feels that you've been operating too independently. Sometimes excellence can create friction. Some folks think you don't respect the chain of command. Translation. My competence threatens him personally, but I kept my tone flat. I collaborate with every team. Sure, but the perception is that you aren't as integrated, and because of that, we're going to reduce your hours to 20 per week for the next quarter. My jaw didn't clench. My hands didn't shake. I simply blinked once. Is this performance related? Oh no, he said quickly. Just a resource redistribution. Think of it as a chance to refocus. Maybe reflect a bit on how you show up. There it was, how you show up. A phrase that means absolutely nothing and is used exclusively by people who want to assert dominance without articulating a real issue. I nodded calmly. When does this take effect? Next Monday. A 4-day turnaround, intentionally humiliating. I stood. I'll need documentation. Of course, he said, smiling. We'll get that to you. He wouldn't. I knew he wouldn't. Men like him never document decisions they can't defend. I walked out with my shoulders squared. Inside, something clicked. Not anger, not panic. A switch. A quiet, strategic, calculating switch. That night, I added a new heading to my strategy memo. Critical incident, unjustified demotion, hypothesis, management insecurity, punitive action, risks, escalation, further marginalization opportunities, repositioning, alternative pathways, possible levers, documentation, network activation, independent projects, legal protections, long-term strategy, TBD, collect data first, professionalism first, always, revenge later, if necessary. My first step was the clean, responsible, corporate-approved path, HR. I scheduled a meeting. Jenna, mid-30s, immaculate hair, a smile that belonged in a customer service advertisement, welcomed me. "What brings you in?" she asked. I explained, 4 years of exemplary reviews, a sudden, unexplained 50% hours cut, accusations of independence issues without examples, lack of documentation, a suspicious timeline following the arrival of a new VP. Her smile weakened at the edges. "I hear you," she said. "This sounds like a communication issue." "I'd like an investigation," I said. "This impacts my career trajectory, compensation, and visibility." She nodded, typing. "We'll look into it." Translation: "We'll do nothing unless you become a legal risk." I also emailed Evan a request for written clarification. His response was vague, evasive, and entirely useless. Perfect. More documentation. The next 3 weeks were an exercise in subtle sabotage. Examples. 1. Meeting exclusion. He forgot to invite me to strategy sessions for initiatives I architected. 2. Credit theft. He presented my work as team collaboration outcomes. 3. Narrative manipulation. I saw Slack messages forwarded to me accidentally. Him telling others I was struggling with alignment. Classic insecure manager behavior. I stayed silent. I stayed calm. I documented everything. But the breaking point came when I overheard something that clarified exactly what he intended. It was late, 6:40 p.m., and most people had left. I stayed to finish a framework definition for a design I'd been developing independently for months. Something high-level, potentially industry-shifting. It wasn't assigned work, it was exploratory, but I'd occasionally referenced conceptual pieces during roadmap discussions. My desk was near the corner collaboration lounge. I had my headphones on, but no music played. A habit I picked up years ago, appearing busy while eavesdropping on management stupidity. And Evan's voice cut through. He was speaking to the CTO, a decent man, more reasonable than most. "Look, we can reassign the framework draft to Kyle. She's only part-time now, so she shouldn't be driving high-visibility innovation." My pulse slowed. The CTO hesitated. "But Valerie authored that. It's her design thinking." "We can clean that up," Evan said casually. "Anything built on company time belongs to Luminate." Except it wasn't built on company time. I had been extremely careful. Independent laptop, independent tools, logged hours, time-stamped work sessions, all traceable. "And honestly," he continued, "it'll be easier if Kyle's name is on it for the patent filing. Valerie is, well, let's just say she's not showing team-first behavior lately." The CTO murmured something about checking legal. Evan replied, "Legal doesn't need to complicate this. This is leadership direction." That sentence, right there, was the moment my body went still. Not frozen, not panicked. Just still, like a predator observing something foolish wander into the forest. I looked down at my hands, relaxed on the keyboard, and exhaled. So this was their escalation. They tried to steal from me, and they thought I wouldn't fight back. My decision crystallized in less than a minute. I would not merely defend myself. I would end them, not illegally, not emotionally, not impulsively, strategically, surgically, cleanly, and I knew exactly how. Because the design they wanted to steal, the one I had been refining for 9 months, wasn't a feature. It was a new product category, a platform architecture that could redefine how mid-sized tech companies integrated AI modularity. And every iteration of it existed only on my personal hardware, developed entirely off hours, and protected by time-stamped cloud backups. It belonged exclusively to me, and Luminate's biggest competitor, Nexacore Technologies, had been trying to poach me for a year. I closed my laptop and left before anyone could see the expression forming on my face. A quiet, sharp, definitive smile. I didn't act immediately. Revenge without strategy is just anger with good PR. First, I conducted a full situational assessment in my weekly memo. Strategy memo. Week 17. Objective: neutralize managerial aggression, protect IP, assess exit paths. Threat environment: VP attempting IP theft. Narrative manipulation, structural isolation, HR incompetence. Strengths: independent IP, documented evidence, strong external network, professional reputation. Weaknesses: reduced hours, limited visibility, internal politics. Opportunities: competitor interest, potential licensing agreements, public recognition tactics, collect all evidence, confirm IP ownership via timestamps and version history. Discreet conversations with trusted colleagues, quiet outreach to Nexacore. VP: validate market viability, build launch strategy. Ensure all actions are legal. Time execution for maximum impact. I spent the next 2 weeks gathering everything. Evidence archive. Included Slack threads of Evan maligning me, screenshots of meeting exclusions, email chains of him refusing documentation, recordings of him contradicting himself, timestamps of my independent design work, witness accounts from engineering and analytics, cross-team endorsements of my contributions, HR's non-responses, notes from overheard theft conversation. I didn't share it. Not yet. Not until it mattered. Next, I reached out to Nexacore, but not like a desperate employee seeking escape, more like a strategist holding a chess piece no one else had noticed. I emailed Marianne DuPont, their VP of Emerging Products. Subject: exploratory conversation. Marianne, I'd like to discuss a concept I've been developing independently. It aligns with the modular AI framework you mentioned when we last spoke. Are you available this week? Valerie Stone. She replied within 32 minutes. Absolutely, let's talk. We met at a quiet cafe far from either office. I presented my design, polished, cohesive, visionary, and fully mine. She reviewed it the way experts do, not with excitement, but with dangerous stillness. Valerie, she said slowly, this is a category-defining architecture. I know. And Luminate doesn't own any piece of this? No, and I can prove it. She exhaled. What are you looking for? A licensing agreement, I said. Exclusive. Full ownership remains with me. You get first-to-market advantage. She nodded. Compensation terms? I slid a paper across. 7 figures, plus attribution, plus an agreement to announce the launch publicly with my involvement. Not excessive, just appropriate. Marianne smiled like a woman who'd been handed a loaded weapon and permission to fire. We can do that. And just like that, the plan entered execution stage. The next month was delicious. Not outwardly, not visibly, but internally, the quiet tightening of screws. Because once Nexacore committed, they began doing what competitors do, asking questions across the industry. Questions that circled back to Luminate. Questions like, why isn't Valerie leading more? Why is your top strategist part-time? We heard she's working on new frameworks. Any demos? Is she still allowed to innovate? Those questions circulated like smoke under a closed door. Executives at Luminate grew nervous. I saw the signs. Frantic alignment meetings, sudden renewed interest in my projects, random check-ins from people who ignored me for months, rumors that someone important was asking about me externally, Slack channels filled with nervous energy. Evan became paranoid. He requested weekly 1.1s. I accepted, answered only what he asked, and gave him nothing more. He stumbled through every meeting, confused by my composure. He expected me to beg for hours back, He expected emotional reactions. Instead, I delivered polished updates and left. Meanwhile, Nexicor's legal team finalized the paperwork. The licensing agreement was airtight, my ownership irreversible. We planned the public launch for Q3, a date deliberately misaligned with Luminate's product announcement cycle. Then came the final trigger. One morning, I received an email from legal. Subject: Ownership clarification for concept draft. Valerie, leadership has asked us to confirm whether your recent conceptual framework work falls under company IP. Please provide files for review. Legal team. I stared at the email for a long time. They had no idea what bomb they were standing on. I replied, the referenced frameworks were developed independently and are not Luminate property. Please confirm what prompted this inquiry. Valerie, no, reply, but I didn't need one, because 2 days later, Nexicor posted a teaser on LinkedIn, not of the product. Just a sentence. Something new is coming. Architected by Valerie Stone. Luminate leadership saw it within hours, and the unraveling became a free-fall. It happened on a Thursday at 11:02 a.m. I was in a meeting, ironically one Evan had insisted I attend. He was mid-sentence, presenting a roadmap he barely understood, when his phone buzzed. Then another buzz, then another. Across the room, 2 directors checked their screens and froze. A Slack notification popped up on my laptop, company-wide. Has everyone seen the Nexicor announcement? Then another. Is this real? Valerie? Then the explosion. Nexicor publicly unveiled the product. My product, with my name as the architect, press releases, live interviews, a video explainer featuring me, recorded privately weeks earlier, walking through the design, my face, my voice, my work, broadcast across the industry. And it was devastating. Luminate had nothing comparable. They had no idea I'd been developing it. They had tried to steal it. And now their biggest competitor beat them to market with a product that instantly outclassed theirs. Worse, it bore the name of their supposedly misaligned strategist, whose hours they cut in half. The reaction inside the meeting was cinematic. One director literally whispered, "Oh my God." Another muttered, "We're screwed." Evan's face drained of color, then flushed, then tightened into panic. He looked at me like I had detonated a bomb, and in a way, I had. "Valerie," he said, voice thin, "can we talk privately?" "No," I said calmly, "but your involvement with Nexicor is fully legal," I said, "and independently developed and documented." His jaw clenched. "You blindsided us." I stood, gathering my laptop. "No, Evan, you blinded yourself." I walked out of the meeting without raising my voice. Behind me, the room erupted into frantic whispers. The aftershocks over the next week, the consequences cascaded. 1. Investor backlash. Luminate shareholders demanded explanations. Why had they lost first-mover advantage? Why was their top strategist publicly leading innovations elsewhere? 2. Internal panic teams scrambled to figure out why I wasn't involved in anything critical. Several engineers openly blamed management for losing me. 3. Executive inquiry. The CTO emailed me privately. "Valerie, I'm sorry. We should have protected you," I replied politely. Nothing more. 4. HR implosion. Jenna from HR asked for a follow-up meeting. I declined. 5. Leadership accountability. Rumors spread that Evan's position was under strategic review. He avoided me completely. 6. My exit. I drafted a clean resignation letter, effective immediately. "Thank you for the opportunities. Valerie Stone." I didn't owe them 2 weeks. They had cut my hours by half without notice. Symmetry can be poetic. I left my badge on my desk. No dramatics, no tears, no gloating, just closure. Nexicor finalized my licensing compensation. 7 figures, paid in installments over 2 years, plus a consulting contract if I wanted it. I moved to a larger apartment, still minimalist, still quiet, but with more natural light and a proper office. I work freelance now, picking clients carefully. No more insecure executives breathing down my neck. No more politics cloaked as feedback. No more men who think they can shrink me to feel bigger. My schedule is mine. My creative energy is mine. My boundaries are steel. Every morning, I write a new strategy memo. Not about survival, but about growth. People assume revenge requires hatred. It doesn't. Revenge, true, devastating revenge, comes from clarity. The clarity to recognize when you're being undervalued, when you're being undermined, when your talent is being stolen, when leadership is weaponizing incompetence, when staying becomes self-betrayal. I didn't destroy Luminate out of anger. I simply stopped protecting people who tried to destroy me first. The truth is, corporations are not families. They are ecosystems of power. And if someone decides you are expendable, you must decide that they are irrelevant. My name is Valerie Stone. I don't raise my voice. I don't throw tantrums. I don't threaten. I strategize. I execute. And when necessary, I burn the system down without ever breaking a sweat.